Yes, join us live on Facebook right now, where we connect with our wonderful guest, Megan Choritz, who is a South African-born author, a playwright, actor, writer, director, teacher, and improviser. Megan Choritz is as you know, she has actually graduated from the University of Cape Town in 1986 and worked as an actress before starting her own improvisation troupe in Cape Town. She has written and co-written numerous plays and musicals, performed and directed theatre, had a few cute roles in some TV and film, creates industrial theatre for clients, has written audio tours for tour buses in Cape Town, Johannesburg, Prague, the Rhine, Amsterdam, and New York. Megan improvises and teaches improv. She has also written novels, short stories, and poems. She currently writes theatre and movie reviews for Weekend Special. Her play Clouds Like Waves premiered at the New York Fringe in 2018 and enjoyed a full run in Cape Town in 2022. Her play Semi-Detached was selected to be part of a new playwriting reading festival at the Jersey City Theatre Centre in Jersey City. And then she's got the children's book as well, The Big Bird Battle, which was published in 2020. And of course, in 2023, a novel Lost Property was published by MF Books and NB Publishers. It was longlisted for the Sunday Times Fiction Award 2024. And since October 7th, what has Megan done? October 7th, 2023, Megan has become a vocal activist with South African Jews for a free Palestine. And as I say that, the hair just rises. Good morning, Megan, and welcome to Urban Woman.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a delight.
It's an absolute pleasure and an honor for us to chat with you, knowing what you're doing, your fight, your cause, and exactly who you're standing with. I mean, generally we chat with people who are fighting for free Palestine, but not necessarily with the South African Jewish group, shall I say. So share with us what inspired you to start, basically share with us what inspired you to get into this whole vocal activist situation.
So I've always been an anti-Zionist, and I've always been somebody who was completely aware of the constant pressure that Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank have been under. But on October the 7th, that was the catalyst for this complete genocide and ethnic cleansing to start. And so, as an activist, I was propelled more clearly into the limelight. One of the biggest myths that we're having to break is this notion that it all started on October the 7th. This has been going on for 100 years, officially and legally for 77 years. But 1948, since the Nakba, Palestinians have been refugees and have been chased off their land and killed and murdered and ignored by the world. So what happened on October the 7th was an opportunity to get louder and to try and get a bit more organized and to start finding partners where we could scream order.
Wow, that is so beautiful, because it shows the spirit of humanity coming through and speaking about out against injustice. I mean, I just can't think about it. Imagine us in our own land having to go through that kind of torture, torment, consistently, continuously for 76 years, and then the genocide happens. It hits so hard, and some people in the world try to say, poor Israel still, you know, I mean, yeah, so they try to pull over the fluff over our eyes, and then now we are hearing about how Donald Trump says that the other Arab countries should just take them, you know, they should just go to another place, and it's very sad. Now, chat with us, Megan. What kind of reactions have you actually received, both from support and opposition, since speaking out for a free Palestine?
In terms of support, the support has been huge, but obviously it hasn't been from the 90% Zionist Jewish community in South Africa. Unfortunately, we're in a country where the Jewish community in South Africa, which is I mean, it's absurd enough just to think about having had us all gone through apartheid and know exactly what apartheid looks like, feels like, sounds like, and then to have 90% of the Jews in South Africa be Zionists is cognitive dissonance. It makes absolutely no sense. So so in terms of South African Jews for a Free Palestine, we are entirely rejected by the Zionist Jewish community. Rejected, name-called, separated out, excluded. It's as if we are somehow, and we are called traitors and not real Jews, etc. In terms of the pro-Palestinian solidarity community, we have found incredibly strong new friendships and allies. And one of my favorite stories is Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, who calls South African Jews for a Free Palestine the Jewish community. For him, that's the Jewish community, and everyone else who is not a South African Jew for a Free Palestine doesn't count.
I love it.
Ethics and the morals and the beautiful ethical traditions of Judaism.
I love it. He's such an amazing man. And in essence, you know what? That's it, because all Jews we know around the world don't support the Israeli Jews. Because, I mean, if you think about their thinking and their behavior, you think, how can that even be part of Judaism? Because we understand religion is more about mercy and not this kind of barbaric behavior. But, you know, religion comes in and it's just used as an excuse to do whatever we want to do. So, you know, there's some challenges you've actually mentioned, and I'm thinking, imagine that you're going through so much, excluded, but here Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman comes in and actually gives you that whole, what can I say, identity. Yeah, he gives it to you because you've earned it, and that's the way the rest of us will see it, right? Absolutely. So, Megan, then share with us, how do you navigate these challenges of being a Jewish activist advocating for Palestinian rights, especially within the global Jewish community?
So the global Jewish community is a very divided community, but the anti-Zionist Jewish community of the world is fast growing, and especially amongst young people. Amongst young people, and I would also say old people, survivors of the Holocaust, who are absolutely clear, never again is never again for anyone. And so there is this growing movement that identifies with Judaism and identifies with being Jewish, but not with Zionism, and believes that Zionism has appropriated Judaism, and Zionism has twisted Judaism, and Zionism has used Judaism and is in fact giving Judaism a bad name.
How does that make you feel personally as a Jew?
Well, interestingly enough, it forces me into a position about being very loud and proud and clear about being Jewish. I need to speak out as a Jew. So I don't know if you've seen any of my social media posts or any of my TikTok videos. I always start, my name is Megan. I am a South African. I am a Jew. I'm an anti-Zionist. Because we have to be very, very clear about our identity at this time.
That's beautiful, because you are basically what can I say? You are educating people about what it is to actually be a Jew. So I love that. You being proactive in doing the right thing instead of all going onto this blanket kind of a consciousness of how the world is seeing Jewish people. Now let's chat about your role. What do you think? Do you think that artists and storytellers like you can actually play or shed a very important light on Palestinian cause like what you're doing?
Definitely. I definitely think so. I mean, I also think that we've got to find ways of expressing ourselves. So for the last 16 months, I've been trying to write, and I've literally written a poem a month, but I can't write about anything else except Gaza and the West Bank and the genocide, because every time I try to put my pen to paper, I see the face of a little dead child, or I see the brutality, or I see the destruction. So I think often we have to take what it is that we're experiencing and what we're feeling and put it into some kind of artistic space. But one of the things that did come out of a beautiful collaboration with artists at the end of last year, we did something called Shakespeare to Gaza, which was based on monologues written by young people who had suffered through the Intifada of 2014, and we interspersed it with Shakespearean monologues, basically to say, these are the issues. This is what people have been doing to each other, and it must stop. So I think there are lots of different ways, whether it's exhibitions or whether it's documentaries or whether it's stories or novels that or plays that can highlight the humanity instead of the brutality.
Well said, the humanity, absolutely. We are live on Facebook. Join us and see Megan chatting with us live, sharing with us some very valuable information. I personally take my hat off to her. Let's talk about your writing now. You're writing in your theatre. I have to share with you before we go to the next question. My daughter saw the ad, so the picture of this interview, and she says, Mama, can you please get me one of her books? I think I've heard her name, or perhaps I read one of her books already. And she was absolutely delighted to see that you're going to be on my show. And for me, that lit me up, because I keep saying, you better read a book. You better read a book. So that was wonderful.
Interesting. So I've had one children's book published. It's called The Big Bird Battle. And it's kind of this, the subtitle is Between the Hard Hardy-Dars and the Foul Guinea Fowl. And it's really about these two bird gangs that get into a fight in a park, and then the fight is in the Egyptian goose wife who says, no, sorry, you can't. And it's very cute. It's rhyming. Kids love it because it's a little bit naughty and rude, but it's got this beautiful moral at the end about fighting and how stupid it is to fight and ridiculous. And so it's got a lovely message, but it's very cute. So I'm so happy your daughter recognized the Big Bird
And
Battle.
I have to say that I have seen, yes, that absolutely also chuffed me. And I was impressed, and I had to share that with you as well. I have seen your videos going around also, where I've seen how you speak up about the Palestinian cause. Let's talk about now your writing. Tell us, what inspired your novel Lost Property, and how does it reflect your worldview?
So Lost Property was my first published novel, and it's a story that is very closely based on my experience of growing up in apartheid, growing up in Johannesburg, currently living in Cape Town, and so how my worldview was shaped by my experiences growing up and also being an adult in South Africa. It's very much a South African novel. It definitely touches on what it was like to be part of a Jewish middle-class background. And so it's the character Lane is very much a creation. She's a fictional creation, but she inhabits the world that I come from.
Wonderful. And talk to us about your play. Your play Clouds Like Waves premiered in New York and later had a run in Cape Town. How do audiences in different parts of the world react to your work?
Sorry, I lost you there for a moment.
Not a problem. We were talking about your play Clouds Like Waves. It premiered in New York and then later had a run.
Yes.
Is it better now? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I think it's better now. Yes.
All right. Technical glitches.
Clouds Like Waves.
Yeah. Which we know, it premiered in New York and then had a run in Cape Town. So how do audiences in different parts of the world react to your work?
So that work in particular was a work that I wanted it to be so much about humanity and the human experience that it could be interpreted anywhere by anyone. It's very loose. It can be performed from between 3 to 15 performers. When we did it in Cape Town, we had 7. When we did it in New York, we had 12. It's little monologues and little scenes, and each scene has its own very, very universal message. So when we did it in New York, we had to change some of the references. Like, we couldn't say pavement, we had to say sidewalk. But literally, the relationships and the characters are very, very universal.
That's wonderful. Now, I love your keffiyeh you're wearing around your neck, very proudly worn.
And
We can see.
T-shirt.
Oh, South African Jews for a free Palestine. Absolutely beautiful, Megan. Now, if you could actually stage a play about Palestine right now, what would its message be?
So it's interesting that you ask that, because for me, there's 2 very important parts of that. First of all, it's very difficult to create a play when the pain, suffering, genocide, trauma is ongoing, and we don't have any distance, we don't have any moment of reflection, because it's like living in a dystopian nightmare. I can't believe that this is the reality that we have to live through. So I'm almost at a loss for words, because none of us have had time to process it, let alone the Palestinians. And one of the things that's very, very important for me is that I don't want to try and interpret what Palestinians think and feel. I don't want to put words in Palestinian mouths. And I don't want to for one moment believe that I can say what they are thinking and feeling, because there's absolutely no way. So in a weird way, I'm only capable of sharing what I think and feel. And I certainly am not ready, because I cannot process this ongoing genocide.
That is so authentic, and the greatest amount of respect for you, because that shows you just coming from the heart. Whereas I think somebody else could probably use this as an opportunistic moment to showcase their work, and you saying very clearly, which is very true, when we're sitting on this side and not in the actual genocide, how do we really know what they're going through? So, Megan, my heart really feels what you're saying there. And that brings me to the next question. If you could sit down with world leaders and have them watch or read something to shift their perspective on Palestine, what would it be?
I mean, I have very little hope for world leaders, because I don't know how these people got into this position. I do not know how world leaders are made, because they are experts in cruelty, in blindness, in refusing to acknowledge human beings. So I don't know that that's possible. I don't know if it's possible to sit down with people who refuse to acknowledge that bombs that you sell to Israel are going to kill flesh and blood, destroy houses, destroy infrastructure, create scholasticide, ecocide, and of course genocide. So my feeling is that we, all of us, and everyone who cares, is going to have to do this without sitting down with world leaders, because the world leaders are not listening.
Well said. We cannot be reliant on them and then basically hope they would make the difference, when clearly we can see that they are allowing a lot of things just to continue. So it is up to us, and definitely individuals like you, the South African Jews for a free Palestine, as well as each and every one of us in our own personal capacity. I think it's part of our consciousness as human beings to see. And because the question is, what if that had to happen to us? What if, we've got to obviously treat humanity the way we want to be treated as well. So wonderful chatting with you, Megan. And yes.
Please give one last message. You said, what can we do? And I think that that's so important. Boycott, divest, sanctions. Stay away from products that support Israel. Every single day, make a choice not to buy products that are either Israeli made or products that are made in Israel, companies that work in Israel, or companies that in any way sell things to Israel and from Israel. Check your dates. Make sure that your dates for Ramadan do not come from Israel.
Here we
Check
go.
your pretzels. Make sure your pretzels do not come from Israel. Boycott, divest, sanctions.
I love that message, absolutely. Because imagine collectively if we all adopt this same strategy, then what? Because money, we know, is a ruler and the power of so many things. And of course, this genocide. Yeah, wonderful message. Thank you, Megan. Especially Ramadan is coming. You hit the nail on the head. So people, watch out for the kajurs. Where is it coming from? Check where our dates are coming from. Absolutely. As we wrap up, it's been so wonderful chatting with you. What is your take-home message for our listeners this morning?
Let's get together. Let's get together. Enough of the hierarchically created and continually perpetrated differences. We are all the same, and we need to get together.
Let's get together. Simple as that, as one. That is the humanity cause. Thank you so much, Megan. It's been wonderful connecting with you. And I do wish that you have a lovely day further. And may you continue to stand in your strength of the wonderful work that you're doing. Until then, bye for now.
Thank you.
And that was Megan Choritz chatting with us about the work that she's doing. She's an amazing person, such a dynamic person. It's been so refreshing chatting with her. And of course, she is from the South African Jewish community, and they stand for a free